Hello, hello. Today, gonna go over all the new stuff with Isleweaver, all the new stuff that needs to be built. So, Oraxia, the 3 weapons that came with her, I'm not even gonna try to pronounce them, but the new spider gun, then the whip, and the incarnate scythe, and then also the 4 augments for Citrine, Kullervo, Jade, and Caliban. Okay, let's go over Oraxia. So you're gonna want Tox damage shards. The subsume is Nourish over 1. You can alternatively do Nourish over 2. It doesn't matter too much. You're not gonna run into energy problems to need 1. Nourish is plenty. Summoner's Wrath, I would recommend if you're gonna use your Scuttlers. Arcane Continuity, I would also recommend if you're gonna use your Scuttlers. You can change up whatever else. It doesn't really matter too much. This is what it looks like in practice, so I guess I'll go through each ability. Your 1 latches onto things, and if they're below 50%, it'll kill it and give you a bunch of energy, basically. Your 2, it traps enemies, and it makes them more vulnerable to damage. Your 3, it just shoots out stuff, and then when it does that, when enemies die, they will give little scuttlers. The scuttlers do apply Arcane Continuity, and they can also get buffed by Viral. So they can apply... They can apply Viral. Just like that. It's not a guaranteed proc like the Toxin, but they can still apply it. And just 1 stack of Viral is a lot more damage. The 4 is the big one. It gives Toxin to your weapon, and it works just like Resupply. So it doesn't work on Incarnins, works great with Sobek, basically exactly how you would expect it. Yeah, pretty good overall. The 4 also has a wall latch. It's like a web sling, just like the new Rip Line. And when you do web sling, your passive makes it so you go invisible for 8 seconds, and that is a refreshable duration, so you don't have to wait until the 8 seconds are up. But if you just stay on a wall for more than 8 seconds, you won't stay invisible. And in most maps, you really don't have to go like visible, invisible. You can just stay visible for a long time, and you usually just won't die. Yeah, so that being said, her main weapon option is, of course, Sobek. I don't know why I didn't have it equipped. You're going to want to run Tox. You can run Cold Valence or Tox Valence. It doesn't matter too much. You ideally want a Riven with Toxin on it. Nothing else really matters too much. Ideal would be like Multi-Shot and CC or CD. Yeah, it doesn't matter. I would recommend slotting Accuracy over something like Galv, but it doesn't matter too much either. This is what that looks like in practice. So if you just use your 4, and then you use Sobek, you ideally want a wall latch so you get the double damage. Not from Arachne, but the Tox bonus. But yeah, I mean, it's exactly how you would expect Sobek to work. It's slower than Saren or Cyte, but it's whatever. Even if you don't wall latch, it'll still kill everything in one chain. But it's not an instant chain like Saren, because Oraxia can't use Roar, and then it's not through walls like Cyte. So yeah, it's another Sobek frame, but can absolutely be used as a general platformer, but definitely like a gun platformer. That's what this frame is for. And then the Scuttlers are just pretty cool. If you'd like, then you could actually slot the Scuttlers with Nautilus. So if you have Nautilus, they do enough elements to proc Manifold. I should probably run Verglass. So they do enough elements to proc Verglass, so they do multiple. So as long as you have Scuttlers, let's get Scuttlers, they'll, hit things, and then the things that they hit will proc Manifold. And then, after they get those kills that proc Manifold, they will, Nautilus will group again. And then after Nautilus groups again, they'll kill, and it's just an infinite loop, right? So you can use Scuttlers and Nautilus and like semi-AFK, and I guess that's pretty neat. But overall, it's just kind of a side thing, and you mainly want to be killing with Sobek or your guns. But the Scuttlers are definitely like decent damage and like, moderately helpful. They can proc Manifold faster, which means Nautilus kills quicker. But yeah, definitely a pretty cool frame. It's basically if you took Saren and you gave some quality of life and you took away some damage. the movement is really cool. The web slinging is really cool. And then it scales to cap, of course. You have invisibility, and you have Sobek. I'll probably take her to cap and show some footage. I did take her to Mott. I was getting around 150 kpm over like 10-15 minutes. I'll probably only show like 5 minutes of that or something. But yeah, definitely a very cool frame. New secondary. It has utility in that it can group with the alt fire, and then it can do damage. You'll want to run Corro Blast with Deadhead. You want Scourge or a platformer, you don't need both. I'll show it with a platformer first and then Scourge, but both are fairly quick. So just gonna use my 4 and then my 1, then Wall Latch, and then I will group with the alt fire, and then just kill. I don't have any Gal stacks here, so it was a little slow, but I'll show it again in just a second with the Gal stacks. So, again. So yeah, decently quick, not super fast. If you choose to use Scourge, then it'll be way faster. So if I just go in and, oh. Okay. Buff should be gone. So now, no buffs, and all I will do is group, and then use Scourge, and then shoot. Ignore the stuff in the corner. This is no Galv stacks. I'll show with Galv stacks in just a second. Okay, so now that I have my Galv stacks, this is what unbuffed with Scourge looks like. So yeah, fairly quick killing. You can kill everything in about like 2 to 3 seconds, maybe 4. That's with Scourge. So they're both around the same time. If you end up using both Scourge and a platformer, it's really not that much faster than just using unbuffed with Scourge. I guess I can show that real quick. It'll only really matter if you're at like high enough enemy level for the unbuffed to not kill. So yeah, I would recommend Scourge over a platformer, but if you just use a platformer, it's really not the end of the world. But this is what Scourge with a platformer would look like. Oh, well, I had to reload there. But yeah, you can kill him in about a second, right? So, yeah, overall, you know, it's a pretty good weapon, but it really wants Scourge or a platformer. And if you can do both, then even better, right? So once again, here's the build, just simple Corro Blast. A lot of people are just using it for utility. I think it's actually pretty good for killing. I might KPM test it. I don't know about that. 10 meter pull really isn't that much, so you need something else. But this does have 3 elements, so it could proc Manifold decently well. I wouldn't really guarantee it. But yeah, this is definitely a good weapon. I wouldn't say that it's just utility based, but the utility is also great. It's pretty much an instant pull for everyone in 10 meters. But it can also kill fairly quickly as long as you have Scourge or a platformer, and basically instantly if you have both. That's it for this one. Okay, so the new melee, it's for Oraxia. This is what that looks like. Here you see I'm offloading electricity to Shock Trooper. I would recommend doing the same. You're going to need to use 3 mod slots if you want to get viral electricity on just the weapon, and it's just really not great. So yeah, this is what I would recommend. Your unique trait sucks. I have not seen any real good usage of it, because running pure toxin means that, well, you can't run, well, I mean, you could run electricity with Shock Trooper, but it means you can't run viral. And on the normal weapon, it means you can't run electricity. So it's just not worth using the unique trait. That being said, the animations are pretty cool. So if you do want to use it, you'll just want to use Shock Trooper, and then, you know, like Roar or whatever. But you can put Shock on anyone, so you can do it on anyone. It's not Volt exclusive. What you're going to do is you just use Shock Trooper. Oh, Shock Trooper. And then you just swing, right? On Volt, this will have the best results because, you know, you can get attack speed buff and then Roar. So that's what that would look like. But yeah, I mean, it'll work on anyone as long as you subsume Shock on. If you're not running Shock, it's just not worth running the weapon, in my opinion. It's yeah, it's just not worth running the weapon if you're not going to run Shock Trooper. So yeah, once again, this is what it looks like. Run Shock Trooper, and it's great. That's it. Okay, the new Incarnate Scythe. I have no idea how to pronounce it. These are the evolutions I would recommend for Influence. This is the build I would recommend for Influence, a very standard Influence build. This is what it looks like in practice. Just gonna get my combo up. And then... oh, they're all dead, okay. So, once you start hitting, they'll die, pretty fast. It's just how Influence works. But if you end up not wanting to use Influence, you're like, oh man, I dislike Influence, then you can actually run Vortex. So you'll use Wrathful Advance instead of Roar, and you're going to use Chain Shatter instead of the Explosive Growth one. And then all you do is you're going to, well, I have to get my evolution first. But once you have your thing up, you're going to, oh, well, I just kind of did it there. You are going to slide to tag everyone, because you need to physically hit them to tag them with the shard. And then once everyone is tagged, you're just going to do a heavy attack, right? It won't necessarily always kill. I didn't tag a few enemies there, but every enemy you tag will pretty much die. So as long as you tag every enemy that you slide by, then everyone will pretty much die. So yeah, I keep missing enemies, but you get the gist. You basically slide by enemies, and then after sliding by them, you just go ahead and you detonate. But yeah, that is how it works. You can use either one. Influence is obviously going to be better, but if you do not like Influence for some reason, then Vortex is definitely an option with this one. Overall, other weapons outclass it, of course. It's Influence. Okina and stuff for light spam Influence is pretty much always going to be better, but this is definitely a pretty good new weapon. Alright, so Kullervo. The new Augment is really good. I would recommend almost always slotting it now. So what it does is your 2 is now duration based. So what that means is you constantly get overguard from it. So if you just stand by an enemy, you will constantly get overguard. That means that if I turn on their AI and I stand in the middle of them, I'm not going to die. So yeah, this is great. Obviously this solves the survivability issue on Kullervo. So yeah, I would recommend always slotting it. As long as you stay near enemies, you will not die. So then you just stay near enemies, and then, throw a Falcor or something. So yeah, this makes Kullervo much better. Kullervo, in my opinion, is still not necessarily worth running, unless you want to do the fun sniper stuff, because invis frames are usually better. His survivability is now fixed, but even, disregarding that, if you just run stealth bonus on someone else, you have the same level of survivability, but you also have, Wrathful Advance or Roar on top of the stealth bonus. So it's yeah. So I would normally recommend just running an invis frame if you want to do a melee platformer, but Kullervo is certainly much better now. His biggest drawback has been fixed. So yeah, this Augment, very, very good. I would recommend if you want to play Kullervo. But yeah, like I was saying, I wouldn't necessarily recommend Kullervo as a top melee platformer or anything. That's it for this one. Alright, so Caliban has definitely gotten way better with this new Augment. There's a lot of bugs with it right now, but we'll go over it anyway. So this is the actual Augment. Basically, you group things with your 1, and then your Ortholis will focus on them right after, with more damage. This is good, but it's bugged. So your normal 1 range is 10 meters. This right now is 6, from what I can tell. And then it also sometimes just doesn't pull properly. But it's still really good. So what it looks like in practice, I will show. You're going to pop your Ortholists, then you'll wait till Kamisato stacks, and then you use your Nourish. So, Kamisato, and then nourish, and then you strip with 4, and then you pull with 1, right? So once everything's grouped up, then they'll kill everything. And yeah, it's pretty good. It's pretty much an instant kill. But don't be deceived by Sim. This does not work as good as you'd expect in game, as it's very bugged right now. So the kills will be pretty much as quick, and it does pull without line of sight. But the issue is the range is just really bad right now. So I'm running 265% range, which means that I should be able to hit these people over here, right? And I am hitting them, but I'm not pulling them. You can see my 1 is actively hitting them, but it's not pulling them. So yeah, this is super buggy right now. It might change. I'll definitely have it in the description if it gets fixed. But overall, this is a very good augment. And once it is fixed, it's going to be a massive win for Caliban. Even right now, it's pretty good. Yeah, so it's very, very good. In mission, it's just really hard to use right now. It's super inconsistent, so you can't really KPM test with it. You get massively different results basically every single time. The Ortholiths also add more randomness. And then on top of that, it's bugged and the range is cooked. So yeah, right now in mission, it's not that great, but when it gets bug fixed, this will be great. It's already pretty good, but it'll be even better, more consistent. Basically how you see it in Sim right now. But yeah, the 1 is just super good now. It's survivability, it is energy, and it's grouping and then focusing over the lists. So yeah, this augment is really good, and it definitely changes Caliban. Once the bugs are fixed, I think that he's going to be way better post patch. Um, yeah, that's it for the Caliban augment. Okay, so Citrine's new augment, Prismatic Companion. This gives 50% gem duration and attaches a gem to your free movement companion. This gem can be toggled by your companion, like hitting things, but it's not toggled by stuff like Synergized Prospectus, and you do not want to use it on like a beast companion because it can reverse inherit. Well, not reverse inherit, it's how inherit is intended, but 0% instead of like their multiple hundreds percent of heat, meaning it is bad for them. And it can also ruin Contagious, and it can mess up their AI. So you don't want to use this on like a Horus. This should be used when you're already ruining Inherit with like a Hound, and you want to spread viral and corrosive instead of just viral or just corrosive. So you would mod your Hound for viral, and then you would run this, and you would use a Shido so that you can, mass tag everyone with weapon damage. So what you do is you would do your Prismatic Gem, and then use your Shido, and now things are getting corrosive and viral instead of just corrosive. Now, this isn't like a lot of corrosive, and your Hound already spreads most of these things. Honestly, I don't find this to be like the greatest, but it definitely works. Like if you wanted a mobile gem, you wanted your Hound to do corrosive and viral instead of just corrosive, it definitely works. But like I was saying, it's not as much as the Hound spreads, um, and you have to, give up your primary slot. So yeah, I mean, it's really not that great, but it is slottable. Like it's not like, oh, this is the worst augment in the world. But like, yeah, I mean, it's not the best one. It basically only is for Hound because, free moving, and then you don't want to use it on something like a beast because it kind of ruins their claws. But yeah, I mean, it's okay. If you do want to run it, it is certainly slottable. If you're running a Hound, I would say just throw it on there because it probably is worth it. If you're not running a Hound, no, I wouldn't recommend running it. I wouldn't recommend running it with a Kullervo. I'll throw up 2 clips on Kullervo without Prismatic Gem and with Prismatic Gem, and you'll see that the number goes down because of Heat Inherit. But yeah, that's it for this one. Okay, so the Jade Augment. This is just a whatever thing I threw together for testing. The actual augment spawns jade lights on enemies, and this can be reprocced by the heat procs that it does. Sorry, heat DOT that it does. So yeah, it's pretty cool thematically. It's really not great. So you'll see. I just have some range and some strength here, but I'll just go ahead and use these. And then when I throw my 1 and alt fire, oh, I don't even have enough energy. Whee. And then alt fire, you'll see everything just kind of dies, which is the problem. You know, even on like a super simple build, everything just dies. Um, and that means that I can't even use the beams. But if I didn't full strip and I decided to just let the beams happen, then they don't really do much. You're better off just using your alt fire again. Um, you see what I mean? Like this is not a whole lot of damage here. You know, 2000 heat DOT. Yeah, it's really not great. So it's definitely not worth slotting. In most cases, well, in all cases, your normal roar nuke is going to be way better on Jade. But thematically, it's cool. So like if you wanted to replace Augur Reach with this on like a normal nuke build, you definitely could. This would be way cooler if they just scale up the damage a ton. Because then, you know, it would actually scale to like level cap, nuke Jade, but they didn't. So yeah, it's really not great. Wouldn't really recommend slotting it unless you just feel like it, because it is pretty cool thematically. But yeah, that is it for this one. Okay, so overall, Oraxia is really good. The Citrine Augment is useful if you're already running a hound. If you're not running a hound, I would say just don't slot it. Kullervo is basically a must slot in my opinion. Jade is not worth slotting unless you like the theme. Caliban, it's bugged right now, but it's going to be really good. Trust me, when it gets fixed, really good augment. I would really recommend slotting it. The three weapons are all pretty cool. The spider gun, the cytoid, however it's pronounced, with the grouping and the decently good killing from Corro Blast, and then the Thalys, I think that's how it's said, with the influence, or alternatively the vortex are both pretty good. Spinnerex, external influence, or Tox Afflictions. Tox Afflictions is okay, but external influence is definitely better. And yeah, I mean, this update is pretty good. The new Duviri with Warframes is pretty fun. But yeah, that's about it for build wise. If you want to see anything else, I'm pretty much out of video ideas. So drop a comment. Yeah, that's it. Have a good one.